started with the idea that Buddhist women really needed to get together and talk about our situation. A few Western friends came by and said, you know, we realized that we didn't have any place to stay as nuns. We had nothing to eat. We had no support. When we went for teaching, sometimes we had to pay for those teachings. Conditions were very, very difficult. And we were all feeling quite alone, quite alienated, and in some cases quite depressed. So we thought we should get together and talk about it. So we decided to hold this first conference in Bodh Gaya. One evening I was staying in my little mud hut up in the forest in Dharamsala, and I heard this voice say, "Help, help me, I'm lost." This very strong southern accent. And I went out of the house and turned on the flashlight. We had no electricity in those days, and tried to find who it was. And it turned out an American woman, a filmmaker, had gotten lost in the forest around the monastery. So I got the torch and I took her back to her hotel. And then the next day I saw her in Dharamsala in the village, and I asked, what are you doing here in India? And she said she had gone to Tibet to make a film on Tibetan Buddhism, but she didn't find much Buddhism in Tibet. And so she was quite disappointed. And now she had come to Dharamsala in hopes that she could do a film on Buddhism there in the refugee community. So we talked, we chatted, and she eventually made a film called In Search of a Holy Man. She just asked if she could talk to me and would it be okay if she turned on the mic. And later she used that conversation as the soundtrack for her film. The story's not over. She said, I started talking to her about the conference we were planning, and she said, well, how are you going to finance that? How much money do you have? And I said, nothing. And she said, well, you can't organize a conference with no money. Let me lend you $5,000. I just met the woman the day before. And I said, but what happens if we don't, if the conference isn't successful and we're not able to recover that money? She said, that's okay. Then it will be a donation.